So, having a think about the importance of good communication and why we sometimes don't do it, and how it can go wrong. And there are so many different reasons why it's so important to have good communication and how we harbour healthy relationships with our partner, whether that's our husband, wife, how we harbour good relationships with our children, with our friends, with our colleagues. It's all about good communication. And there's two or three things that we can think about when we think about how we communicate, how we talk, how we listen, how we respond. And that is our tone, that is making time, and that is setting the example. So when we think about, I've been saying this for years, the importance of understanding how we are in our relationship and how the dynamic of our relationship is unique, because you and your partner's relationship will be utterly unique to any other relationship that you have, and how you talk and how you respond, how you your volume, your pitch, is so paramount to the direction that the conversation takes. I've just been talking about this over in the group, in the Happy and Fulfilled Women's group. If you're not there, you must come along and join us. Talking about how, my husband's tone is usually very calm. He's usually very predictable in his tone and his pitch and his volume. So when he shouts, when he's aggressive, it totally catches me off guard, because it's so out of the norm for him, 80% of the time. Whereas for me, I'm much louder, I'm much more animated. When I get excited, when I get frustrated, when I get angry, my volume goes up and up and up. And that can be out of happiness or frustration. So I'm generally a lot louder. And so we can easily misinterpret each other's tone without even realizing it. We can often, if he's having a bad day, he can be snappy and shouty, and that won't have anything to do with me, or it might have something to do with me, but I can misinterpret that very easily. And equally, if I am being more more loud than usual, more animated than usual, that can easily be misinterpreted as aggressive. And so it's a very, very fine line to tread. So make sure you are really aware of how you pitch and how you tone, because in that dynamic right there and then, that will dictate where the conversation goes. Make time for each other. If you are simply cohabiting a space, you are not in a relationship. You are cohabiting and you are co-parenting. If you are only ever speaking to exchange information about who's doing what, where, when, and why, that is not communicating. That is exchanging information. So make sure that you set time aside to really talk about what's going on for each other. Find out what's going on in each other's day. Find out what is on your mind. What are the things that's making you happy? What are the things that are making you worried? Because if you're not talking about the small stuff, you're not going to be able to talk about the big stuff. If there's something that needs to be addressed and you are finding it difficult to talk about, or it's a conversation that is causing constant frustration, causing constant arguments, you're going round and round in circles, you need to be making the time to really connect as a couple. Connect so that the conversations aren't always about the big stuff. They're not always about stuff that's going to turn into frustration. If you are having an issue that you need to deal with, that you're going round and round in circles and you're not managing properly, then I ask you to, you need to come at the conversation differently. You need to come at a conversation from a place of where you want the goal to be. What is your joint goal? What are you both working towards in order to resolve the situation? Do you have a shared goal? Do you have a shared outcome? And then how can you do that? How can you get there together in a way that feels safe? I don't mean like danger safe, but in a way that feels safe, as in we're not arguing about it, we're trying to resolve the issue. And we're doing it because we want to do this together. You know, getting into an argument, it just doesn't help. It just simply doesn't help. And then the third part, which lends itself to that, is being a role model. Because if we want to teach the next generation to be compassionate and be accountable, we have to be compassionate and accountable too, which means that we have to be careful about how we're speaking. We have to be mindful of the words that we use. We have to be mindful of the tone that we use. And when we get it wrong, because we inevitably get it wrong, I get it wrong all the time as well, like no pedestals here, but to be accountable for it and to say, I got it wrong, I'm really sorry. Let's make sure that we don't do it again, or make sure like we don't get into that situation again. How can we do that differently next time? Sounds very cheesy, but it's really important to be able to acknowledge when we make a mistake, when we shout when we shouldn't have shouted, when we when we lose control, because that's what it's basically about, losing control. Because if we want our children to be accountable and compassionate and managing their emotions and managing their communication well, then we need to be leading by example and showing them the way. Okay, there you go. I hope that was helpful. Catch up with you guys soon. Take care. Bye.